So if you agree, we can start with my introduction, so we can speed up the introductory part and give the floor to our keynote speaker of today, Professor Ulf Daniel Ehlers. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for participating in our Exceed talk of today. So thematic discussion, a reflection about a crucial topic when it comes to reflect on the increase of the overall responsiveness of education system and that system specifically, and when it comes to think about how to reshape existing curricula and design from scratch brand new curricula in order to meet the evolving skills needs and also the new challenges of an internationalized labor market. As you well know, in the Exceed cover, Excellence in Green and Digital Manufacturing, we are going to reflect on how to improve our design processes that provider, that professionals, introducing also what we have called Exceed principles. So to strengthen curricula, thinking about internationalization, gender sensitiveness of our curricula, reinforcement of the business education partnership, focus on so-called eco-digital innovation, so how to support through curricula and the achievement of new skills, the digital circular economy, specifically with reference to the advanced manufacturing sector, that is the domain where the Exceed Center of Vocational Excellence is developing. We are also reflecting on other key principles of curricular innovation, and this so-called T-shaped approach to the design of curricula for future-proof professionals is one of the milestones of our discussion inside the Center of Vocational Excellence. T-shaped professionals are, of course, more flexible, with a strong adaptability to the changes, the fast changes in the labor market or in the company's organizational context. And T-shaped means to think about not only sectoral and core hard skills, but also transversal skills, take into consideration the green and digital transition of the sector itself. So this is the reason why today we will talk about key skills for future-proof professionals with Professor Ulf Daniel Ehlers from the Baden-Württemberg Corporate State University Karlsruhe and Scientific Director of the NextSkills Research Group. That is a very important research group in Europe, very much expert in designing new competence framework. With Professor Ehlers, we will explore this NextSkills framework, and also we have the chance to see the presentation of the brand new competence framework they have developed recently regarding the AI disruption in education and also AI disruption when it comes to think about skills innovation, skills update of every professional and every worker. I stop here my introduction. Please keep your microphone off. We will have some interactions during the session, so no worries, you will have the opportunity to ask, to discuss, to reflect on key topics of today. We will record the session as always in order to have more deepening materials for the future, for our next reflection together. So for any needs, don't hesitate to write in the chat or in QA environment. Thank you very much, Professor Ulf, for being here today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elena, for the nice introduction and also for inviting me to this session, to this very important session, because I believe that in education sectors all along, actually, not just in vet, but also in higher education and school education, we need to rethink how we approach the future of education. The future of education is always influencing how we will be able as societies to cope with the challenges which we have in front of us. And there are numerous challenges, and I will just go into some of them. The topic for my talk today is the NextSkills Framework for T-shaped professionals, and that's pretty much the heart of what we are researching all around. And I'm going to share concepts, research outcomes, and thoughts. Also try to provoke some thought and thinking around this in your group. I'm, as Eleanor said, I'm from a university in the south of Germany. My university is located here in the south of Germany. We are bordering with France and with Switzerland in a city called Karlsruhe. The university itself is quite a young university. I will tell you a little bit about it later. It's just 15 years old, and actually I had this privilege to be called by the government of this state. As you know, we have federal states in Germany, 16 federal states. And I was asked by the government about 15 years ago if I would be part of a team to found a new university. And this new university was designed as a dual, a cooperative university. So this cooperative model, which we have developed in Germany quite some while ago in the field of vocational education. Now the idea was to transport this concept into higher education. And that was the birth of a new type of university in Germany. We did not have this type of university. We're the first and now also the largest dual university, as we call it. And I was very happy to lead this this setup, the launch, the design of this university system for 6 years as a vice president, together with a team of colleagues. And I very much believe that this kind of university of higher education, where businesses and the world of work is cooperating together with academia, which is not so easy because theory and practice are not the same perspectives on life and on this world also. And that's why it's always a challenge. It's challenging, and we need to struggle to bring these two perspectives together into a productive mode for our students. And I very much believe that these kind of models are actually the most innovative higher education reform approaches within the last 50 years. But I will tell you a little bit about later. Within this university, we have, after we set up the university, we have tried to distill and crystallize our experiences into a new concept and a new view on education. And we founded on this basis the Next Education Research Group, and we do future skills research. And we also try to develop learning materials all around this issue of future skills. We run several portals. You can have a look at them. You would find all our learning materials, all our research outputs, papers, books, video presentations, animations, infographics, everything which you might find interesting around future skills teaching, but also our projects. you would find it there, also all open access and free to use for you. So, dear colleagues, who is this guy actually? Maybe you have heard of him, David Guest. David Guest. And what is he having to do with our topic today? Big question. What's the connection between David Guest and our topic today of next skills, future skills, and T-shaped professionals? Well, David Guest was the first person mentioning this concept of T-shaped professionals. I believe it was in a 1991 newspaper issue where he wrote an article about future qualifications. He was a journalist back then in London. Now I think he's with the University College of London a professor, but back then he was a journalist, wrote about qualification, new forms of qualification, future innovation in education. And he was writing about T-shaped professionals. And he strongly believed and suggested that in the future, not just domain-specific knowledge would be the asset which makes people having an impact and makes people successful and being effective in their jobs and also in their personal lives. Not just domain-specific deep expertise, but also he suggested that what becomes much more important in the future will be what he called cross-domain skills and attitudes. So what we might today call transversal skills and competencies. That was the first time actually that somebody suggested to combine these two views. Later on, this has been read or misread actually also between soft skills and hard skills, a term which we very much dispute if it's really meaningful or, let's say, correctly representing what we are talking about, soft and hard. Some people say what had been in the past, the soft skills, which we usually refer to as communication, collaboration, sense making, innovation skills, and so on. That these skills in the future will be the hard skills, and I will go into that a little bit more later on. So, David Guest, the first person, 1991, mentioning this. Now, who of you knows who this guy is actually?
Yes, we know him.
Idea?
It's unforgettable, let's say.
Gregory Peck. And why is he unforgettable?
Yeah.
Because he was playing Captain Ahab in the big famous movie Moby Dick. And what has Gregory Peck, as alias Captain Ahab, to do with T-shape, with the T-shape of professionals actually? I was actually trying to find what would be his qualification profile, the qualification profile of Captain Ahab in the movie Moby Dick. And you can see here what I came up with. You see that in the, let's say, deep domain-specific knowledge column, the T column, the vertical one, you see that he had probably, we would analyze that he has a big expertise in whale hunting, and he is a master and navigator and a great seafarer. But then also on this horizontal column of the T, you can also ask yourself, what are his competencies, his transversal competencies actually? And I was thinking actually that probably, as far at least from what I saw from the movie, he's quite an inspirational leader actually. He can galvanize an entire crew around a singular, emotionally charged mission. He's a good leader. And also, he's a good speaker. His speeches, for example, the gold doubloon moment, some of you might remember this speech, show really a lot of charisma and emotional manipulation technique. Manipulation, of course, is not always good, but he was really good at that, actually. But also we can maybe see some limitations in this T-shaped vertical column, because also he doesn't really like to collaborate a lot. Yeah, he's dissenting voices. He rejects dissenting voices, and also he's quite a very narrow focus, an obsession, you can say, on killing Moby Dick, and this blinds him for the broader mission. So this is quite an interesting exercise you can do, maybe with your superior, where you're working in the professional environment where you are working. You can ask yourself, well, what's actually the T shape of this person, which I have in front of me, or with some other persons. You know, everybody's knowing Harry Potter. So what are the cross-domain skills and attitudes? What are the cross-domain skills and attitudes of Harry Potter? What would you say? Please write in the chat the first things which come into your mind. Cross-domain skill and attitudes. Cross-domain. These things which are in the T bar on the horizontal column, the transversal skills. What would you say? And Elena, can you read out some of the things people write into the chat? Because what we have to what I have to also announce is due to some challenges which we always have in collaborating across Europe synchronously. Today, miraculously, my chat window is not visible in my interface, but we were thinking to solve this problem by collaboration, and Elena will try to read out what you type in the chat.
So, Eleonora wrote leadership, empathy.
Leadership, empathy, yeah.
I wrote goal-oriented, sense making, and experimentation approach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would also add that Harry Potter is never stopping at a problem. He's like trying to overcome even if there is no solution visible. Thank you very much. Now, take a little bit time, just 3 or 4 minutes, take a piece of paper and reflect about yourself. Write down 2 to 3 cross-domain skills and 2 to 3 elements of deep expertise. Take a piece of paper, draw a big T, and reflect a little bit. What are your cross-domain skills, your transversal skills? And what are 2 to 3 expertise, domain-specific expertise which you have? Right, please come to an end. The good thing with this session is that we really have time today. 2 hours, so we included some time for reflection, small reflections, micro reflections. I very much like to work with this methodology of micro reflections or mini challenges. So to give participants of a workshop time to integrate what we talk about into yourself. So we're not going to share this. This is just for you, your reflection. But what I would like to share with you now, and I continue, is a very small piece of a research result, which made me think actually that we might be much further in this revolution than we thought we are. We were doing research. We are in a project called Chase, and the project stopped a couple of months ago. It was a 4-year project, so the research results here are quite fresh. And we are trying to find out what is the occupational profile. What is the occupational profile, the qualifications which IT professionals of the future will need? And not just IT professionals in general, but very specific IT professionals. IT professionals who know how to develop blockchain technologies. So very specific focus on one very specific, but yet very important technology actually. And we were doing lots of research around this issue. We were asking companies, we were doing interviews, we were trying to find out, are there in Europe actually educational programs in the VET sector? By the way, if you're interested in this, also have a look at the web, because we also published a full VET program, I think with 60 ECTS online courses with 8 modules on the future IT professional. So we were trying to find out what will be the occupational profile of this future IT professional. And in the beginning, we discussed a lot with companies, and they said, you're not just having an IT professional of the future, you're having several roles around this IT professional. So one of these IT professionals is what we usually think about when we think about IT professionals, is a developer. He's a coder. She or he is the coder, the coding person. But then there is also another one. Another role is called the architect. So this is the person who's designing solutions. Yeah. So architecting solutions, IT solutions. And then there's another one, the manager, who's leading these projects. Yeah. So we try to develop these occupational profiles and these roles, and we try to come up with, we use persona, design thinking processes, persona techniques, which you can see here as well. And then when we had this ready, we were going to companies in where we are doing a quantitative survey, I believe in 16 European countries with more than 700 companies. Representatives from companies answered this survey. And we were asking them, what is the importance within these profiles of the different skills which we thought would be important actually? And we ask about technical skills, of course. We ask about business skills, management, analysis, and so on, project management. And we also asked about these transversal skills. And we used our NextSkills model, which I show to you later. And we asked them, can you please rate the importance? And the very, very interesting thing is that, of course, technical skills are important for IT developers of the future. Business skills are also important depending on the profile, more or less. But in all three profiles, transversal skills were those skills which turned out the most important. Transversal skills, not technical. It's the profile of the IT professional of the future. So transversal skills for the IT professional of the future are the most important skills, even if you think actually it is quite a technical profile, job profile. So that's just a little piece of research. And the question how to find out which actually are these future skills, which are these transversal skills, is what makes our world turn around, actually. That's what we are really, really interested in. And there are many, many ways of approaching this, actually. Different research methodologies also. One bit funny actually is what you can do with your participants of workshops in vocational education and training. What we also do with our students, we ask our students, how can you imagine your job profile of the future in, let's say, 25 years? What do you think is your job looking like in 25 years? Can you describe it? Can you write it down? Can you draw a persona, the professional in 25 years in as a mid-level technician, for example, in my company, or whatever you are looking at, and one portal which is doing that, it's actually a labor agency of Belgium. It's called ubot.org in the internet. You find that online. Has also been doing that in a quite a, let's say, humoristic approach. And they came up with some job profiles for the future. Shiva, the therapist, the organ designer, the virtual fashion designer. And my favorite one is the digital detox dietitian. And the interesting thing here is, if you go to this website, you can even take a job test. It's not just a fake, it's not just funny. You can even take a job test and you can find out if you are actually suited to this, if you could fulfill the requirements for this job. And the issue is, it's a mind-opening game. And this is so important for our participants in education, that we equip them with this ability to open their minds to the future and not believe that what they learn from us is sufficient for the next 15 years within their jobs. Another one which I like very much is this small movie clip, actually, which I'm not going to show you with an audio, but also just visually here, because it's only in German. But a young man is going to a foreteller, a future foreteller, and is asking, how is my future going to be? And the foreteller, this lady, she's asking, with future skills or without future skills? And then the man says, well, without future skills. And you can see here that he's trying to give a presentation now, and everybody is bored, and is really, it's a catastrophe, actually. And then he's going back to the fortune teller and asking, I think I want to see my future with future skills. And now you see what happens. Everybody's happy. So there's just a very small, funny approach, actually, to think yourself into the future and to try to imagine what would be skills, actually, what would be scenarios for the future. The underlying question is really, what makes you really successful in life? What makes you really successful in life? What are these skills? And success doesn't mean, monetary success. Success means happiness. Success means effective. I am an effective person in my community, in my community, maybe in my sports club, maybe in my church, maybe in the school where my kids are. I'm an effective person. I like to engage. I like to involve myself. I like to take things in my hand. I like to shape things, actually. I like to talk to people. I like to get into networks together. When we see things which we believe should be changed, we're approaching that. This is also success in life, of course. It's not just success in monetary terms, according to Elon Musk or whatever. It's really success and happiness. And what is it actually that really makes you successful? What would you think if you're sitting with a colleague in front here of this presentation? take a moment, just 3-4 minutes again, to reflect on this. What makes you really successful in life? Effective, engaged, happy? What makes you really successful? It's a very fascinating question. Just 3 or 4 minutes and write it into the chat. It's one of the big questions in life. All right. Elena, something in the chat already?
Yes, passion and resilience.
Resilience. So we have 21 participants and we have
Good.
2 issues.
Good relationship.
Good relationship, okay.
Being able to involve colleagues in new challenges.
Okay.
There is some hands raised, probably because they do not see the chat. So
yes,
please,
exactly.
Rosita, if you would like to say something, please.
No, it's just because I can't write in the chat. So
yes.
I don't know if you can habilitate my chat as well, or just no. You have a limited
a technical problem. Probably you enter in the web interface, and sometimes you cannot see the chat, but everything is deleted yet. So you can, if you have something to say, please.
My reflection was just to give a contribution to the community and overcoming limits given to the way life tends us to behave, because usually in current world we are just bring to isolation, while I think that it's important to share and to give a contribution to our communities. It's just this.
Yeah, super. Thanks, Rosita. That's a very, very important contribution, very, very relevant contribution. I believe also in the power of sharing and community and networks. And I believe that when we are with others, we can really also only see the limitations in which we live actually, and we can try to overcome them. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. And also thanks for bringing up the issue that maybe some of you even cannot see the chat, right?
So we can have other contribution. So be able to create connections between different domains.
Yeah.
Develop new networks. Problem analysis and enthusiasm. And Simone, please, if you want to say something.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I have the same issue. I think I entered the meeting with the wrong email. And for me, I think it's when I realize I'm giving something to someone else, and also when I receive recognition from people I admire. So these are my two things.
Feedback and recognition, very, very important for motivation. Thanks a lot, Simone. So I would like to continue on that note, actually. Thanks very much, Simone. There's a researcher, she's called Angela Duckworth. And if you have not heard of Angela Duckworth yet, you might need to find her online. She became famous first through a TED talk, actually, she gave on this issue of what makes people really successful. And then she had a New York Times bestseller for several weeks, which is the one you see here, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And Angela Duckworth actually tried to find out. She's from working with the University of Pennsylvania, and she's a psychologist, and she has founded the Character Lab. And she has tried to find out what are these 2-3 ingredients in a life which make people really successful. What is it actually? Is it intelligence, or talent, or what is it actually? And she did that by she was actually thinking about it, how to do research on this issue. And if you think yourself about that, that's not so easy to find out actually. But she chose a method. She was asking those people who really were successful, the Olympic gold medal winners. So she did interviews with super sport athletes, Olympic medal winners, champions, and so on. So people who in their life were really successful, and they all had different approaches. But Angela tried to somehow, try to analyze what are the main strands actually there. And we did a book last year. We published a book last year on the future of teaching and learning in the future university. And we were interviewing her for this book, and it was really fascinating to see. So Angela Duckworth, what she did actually with her book is not for the absolute first time, but with a very, very strong statement. She was actually getting rid of the assumption of the somehow often unspoken assumption that what makes people successful is intelligence or talent. And she said, no, it's not actually. It's not intelligence or talent. It is what she called the two main ingredients, according to Angela Duckworth. What makes people successful are, first of all, growth mindset. And that's exactly what some people just said, actually, that you are effective in your community, that you can engage. That's growth mindset. Growth mindset is, in psychological terms, is what we call self-efficacy. It's that we believe that we can solve the challenge which are in front of us through the competencies which we have. That we believe, it's a belief. Growth mindset is a mindset. It's a belief that we can grow, that we can learn, that we can overcome our limitations. If you believe that, you have a growth mindset. And in psychology, growth mindset can really, really easily be tested. You have beautiful scales for testing and assessing growth mindset of a person with just 5 or 6 questions in a school, in vocational education and training. And you can address this issue in vocational education. Growth mindset is really something very important. And the question to you as educators, as education as specialists, as education expert is really, how can we help our students to develop growth mindset? And where are these instances in a week where students come to our classes, where growth mindset is a topic which we address, where we discuss it with them? You know, growth mindset is a really, really important growth mindset. And the other one is grit, actually. The other one is grit. So passion and perseverance over a long time, even against drawbacks, even if you don't manage to achieve your goal, keep on it, keep on track. And these are the 2 main ingredients, actually. So in my university, where I am now teaching, and which I had the privilege to set up in 2010, actually, where the government asked me to become a vice president and to launch this new idea of a fully dual university. We only have dual programs, actually. In my university, we're very, very much focusing on experiential learning, on experience-based learning. And experiences, practical experiences, are the ecosystem, the environment in which you can learn growth mindset, really, because you constantly can overcome challenges, or you can meet challenges and you can try to overcome them, actually. We founded this university in 2010 as a merger, as a merger of 8 existing professional academies. And because it was a merger, bringing together already existing academies, we immediately grew to become the largest university of the south of Germany. And now we have 35,000 students. The study mode is a 50-50 study mode. So our students are 50% of their study time in a practical environment, in a practice company, NGO, public organization, clinic, hospital, kindergarten, even prisons. We're working with administrations, town halls, and so on. And the other 50%, they are at the campus. Usually we have a model of 3 months in practice, 3 months in theory, so to speak. And we try to bring that together. And what is very interesting, and that's also due to the, let's say, the economic structure of Baden-Württemberg, which is really a powerhouse, economically speaking. We have 9,000 of these cooperating partners, 9,000 of these companies, which are part of our university. And I deliberately say part of our university because the government back then, when we set up the university, they decided that according to the Higher Education Act of Baden-Württemberg, of the state, according to the Higher Education Act, these companies are not customers of the university or partners of the university. These companies, these organizations, these practice organizations, they are members of the university. So in a normal faculty council, there are 24, 25, 26 professors in the Faculty of Economy, for example. And then on the other side, so to speak, there are 22, 23 representatives of these practice points. And they together develop curricula, they together discuss study modes, they together discuss all challenges all around these problems. And this is really the ecosystem in which we as an academic institution try to develop. Which are these skills? Which are these skills which you really need to shape the future? It's not just a purely academic exercise where we are thinking about the world and what are the challenges of the world and climate, digital, internationalization, financial, political, democratic, whatever challenges. But it's really that we sit down together with our partners and try to work out what makes people effective as future advocates in their environments, effective as shapers of the future environment in their work. And when you think about that, you would probably come to this list yourself, like personal growth, belief in yourself, self-efficacy, good communication, design thinking, growth mindset, we talked about it, trust in yourself, taking the initiative, digital skills. These are all important, which we thought about, reflected on, did design thinking processes about, and so on. We also took a different approach. We also started to talk with our students and try to imagine the student of the future. And you can do the same. You can try to imagine the participant within your program, your vocational education program of the future. And we came up with a number of personas. Personas, as you know, are these prototypical characteristics of future persons. And for example, we came up with a persona like this, Florence. Florence, we were thinking she might be in her 20s. Yeah, Florence might be in her 20s. You can imagine her being a young lady. She wants to start her studies. She wants to learn. She wants to engage. She's ready with school. She wants to start out into the world. And she attended activities around climate change and around action, and she wants to work for a better world, and she wants to shape the future of society. And for that, she wants to go into a job, into a company which she believes is the worst of all companies when it comes to global climate change, and that's Google. She wants to go into Google because she believes she has to break the system from the inside. That's why she wants to go to Google. She wants to, or let's say she wants to go to Meta maybe, and not just because she wants to support this organization, she wants to break it. She wants to go there. She wants to change things, and she really wants to be effective. So, Florence. And from conversations, she knows at Google or Meta or all these tech companies, they're not interested in university degrees, but in so-called future skills. This is, future skills this is all about developing a mission during your studies. It's not just, enough to simply get a master's degree. The skills needed for this are called future skills, future competencies, taking responsibility, making decisions, being innovative and creative, and so on. So this is what Florence wants to do. And that's actually a persona, just to give you a glimpse into the, let's say, the projection, the analysis techniques which we use. And we discuss this with students, with companies, with representatives from civil society to find out actually what are these neuralgic points which we need to address in terms of future competencies. I'm skipping an interactive exercise now, but then in 2017, that was very interesting. A very important press conference took place. And this press conference was given by IBM. In 2017, Joanna Daly, which was back then IBM's vice president of talent, she gave a press conference. And she was actually discussing all things around qualification of the future. And she was answering questions on what is IBM's idea of qualification for their employees and so on. And then in actually a very small half sentence, she was mentioning something which suddenly became very important. She was mentioning that for IBM in the future, it's not so important what kind of bachelor certificates or master degrees employees have. It's much more important what people are able to do, which skills they have and which experiences they have. And IBM has then, she said, has then actually tried, or is since then, or is actually trying to develop all kinds of assessment methods around this issue. So bachelor degrees and master degrees are not so important for recruiting at IBM. She just mentioned that as a very small half sentence. The press conference was not at all about this issue, actually. But that was actually what, in the next day, was big in the newspaper. IBM is not recruiting on basis of a bachelor or formal degree any longer, but is recruiting on basis of skills, future skills of future employees. And then 2 years later, one of the companies which is doing research all around this issue, skills intelligence, and I believe you also had a session on that earlier on, a few months ago from a CEDEFOP expert. So 2 years later, a company called Glassdoor was issuing another report. Glassdoor is actually a skills intelligence company. So if, for example, a country like, I don't know, Ireland wants to know how do we develop our economy into a knowledge or into a digital economy, then they would go to Glassdoor, the governments would go to Glassdoor and ask, so how do we perform in terms of skills? What do we need in terms of skills? Which kind of educational programs do we need to develop in order to arrive where we want to go? So that's Glassdoor. It's a big skills intelligence company. It used to be the biggest one, actually, to 2019. And they were issuing a report, which is called "It's All About Skills Now." You can go to the internet and you can find it there. It's all about skills now. Google, IBM, Apple no longer require college degrees. And of course, these are all the big tech companies, the big companies, you know, the big fintechs, the financial companies, the insurance companies, the tech companies. And you would, of course, think, you probably would assume that for these companies, of course, college degrees may be not so important anymore. Formal degrees may be not so important anymore. Formal vocational degrees may be not so important anymore, but rather skills. But which skills are these actually? And of course, you would probably agree to think, yes, it's safe that for these big tech companies, this is the case. But a few months later, it was very important that Glassdoor issued another report in which they were saying that's not just for big tech companies, that's also for the burrito chain around the corner. If they look for district managers, kitchen managers, service managers, they also are looking for skills and not just for degrees. Again, a little bit later, 2021, so 4 years ago, LinkedIn was issuing another report on skills analysis. And LinkedIn is a professional portal, as you know, a network of professionals. Probably most of you are a member of LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has more than 1 billion of members. And LinkedIn knows what their members are able to do. LinkedIn knows the skills of their members, actually. LinkedIn knows the skills of their members because all the members in LinkedIn, they are actually giving their job positions, they are giving their projects, they are working on the skills they have and so on in your profile. So LinkedIn knows what people are able to do, which are the skills of people. And LinkedIn did a very, very interesting analysis back then in 2021. They were trying to compare which skills overall branches, overall fields of work, overall members, did our members in LinkedIn have in 2015, and which skills did they have in 2021? You can just do a very, very easy comparison statistically of the skills of the members in 2015 and 2021. And what you can see here actually is that you would probably there are skills. It's a bit difficult to to see here maybe in the picture, but you have skills where you do not have any change. The first one here, for example, it's the same skill 2015 to 2021. But there are also skills which become less important. There are skills which are more important, and so on. And you can start to develop what they call skills volatility graph. Yeah, they are developing a skills volatility graph. So that's skills analysis, actually, skills intelligence. And the skills volatility graph shows you what percentage, what is the ratio of skills which change in a given amount of time. So between 2015 and 2021, this is, as you see here in the graph, 25%. So 1/4 of all skills which people had in 2015 has changed to comparison to 2021. And if you extrapolate that, you would arrive at a figure of 40%, maybe even more in the future for this year. Well, we have to see what LinkedIn is actually publishing this year, but that means that only in a small time frame of 8 to 10 years, almost half of the skills lose their importance or become more important, but are not the same anymore. And that's the situation which we have in front of us when we think about education, vocational education and training. And that's why we really need to think about what are these future skills, actually? What are these future skills? And with this idea, with this question, I'm going to end this first block, this first section of my session here today, of our session here today. We're going to take a short break of 15 minutes and restart at 10:45. And so should we continue?
Yes, please.
So welcome back. Now, the second part of the session is dedicated to future skills models. And I brought with me two models. One is what we call the foundational model, or the mother model, father-mother reference model, which we developed for future skills. And I'm going to show it to you and we can discuss a bit. And another one is a model on AI competencies, or AI-related future skills, as we call that. We have discussed in the last session a little bit the rationale and laid the foundation for the question, why are future skills so relevant, actually? But in my experience, and we do a lot of projects together with companies, but also together with academic institutions, universities, higher education institutions. We consult them also. We do consultation programs and processes. We go into other higher education and also into vocational education and training institutions. And we still see, and that's why I made this point so strong, we still see that this message, that future skills are, so to speak, the future of skills really are very, very important, that this message has not yet arrived everywhere, and even if it has arrived at the leadership level, it's not always said that it also arrives at the classroom or even at the students' level also, because, I mean, if you think about, colleagues, how do we design our education systems? When I don't know how it is in your particular case where you are working, actually, where you are teaching, where you design maybe curricula, where you are responsible for quality management, whatever your position is also in vocational education. But often, if you look at just how we lay out education buildings and setups and settings, when students enter the door, when they walk through the door of our education institutions, of our vocational education institutions, you can already, in a way, see that symbolically, we make them understand that the mode of learning which takes place in this institution, and I'm speaking in a general level, and I hope that you understand, that the mode of learning is going into a room, sitting down on a chair and listening to somebody who's teaching or talking. Of course, we also have practicums, we have practical sessions, we ask students to interact, but the general symbolism of how we structure and design our institutions, our educational institutions, all around the world actually, is often this receptive mode. And when we believe that the future of education is strongly focused on future skills, we need to change the teaching and learning environment. So that's an important session, important message which I would like to convey. We need to think education in a different way. We need to rethink education in a different way. And that's actually why we designed our research group in order to rethink education and think it in a different way. We started then in 2017, 2018 with the first research studies on future skills. We had an opportunity to go into many companies actually, to screen them, to select them, and on basis of a large screening of over 150 organizations, not just private organizations, industry organizations, also public organizations, we selected 20 of these organizations, which we were thinking with a large jury panels, actually, which we were thinking, they are very, very forward-looking, innovative organizations, thinking in a very innovative way about development of skills. It was 2017, and out of these 20 organizations, we awarded also 8 organizations, with what we call the partner award, which we still have. I was responsible for setting this up. That's why we had this privileged access to these data. And the first thing is we went into these organizations, into these 20 organizations, which were selected, shortlisted, very, very forward-looking organizations. We went into these organizations and we were always asking the same question. We were always asking the question, what do the members of your organizations need in order to develop your organization into the future, let's say 10 years forward? And then we were leading discussions, we did interviews, deep interviews, 2-hour-long interviews, really, really conversations with people, with students, with HR responsibles, with workers. And we collected data. And out of this data, we created a big inventory, a list of issues which people told us, of issues, of characteristics, of skills which they mentioned. And then we distilled this list, this big inventory list. We distilled it into smaller parts. We structured it into chapters, and we tried to find out which of these issues which they mentioned, these characteristics, these skills, which are already existing in literature, in psychology, sociology, education. Can we take it from there? The definitions, which are maybe new or not so really, very sharply defined yet, maybe not new, but newish, which we would like to take on board. And so a framework started to evolve from this, a framework which we today call our NextSkills model. And this framework has a structure of 3 layers, and the middle layer, which you see here on this picture, has 17 different profiles. You have an upper layer which has 3 dimensions: blue, red, and green. You have a middle layer which has 17 profiles, which are the terms you see here, the profiles, future skill profiles. And you have an underneath lying down lower layer, detailed layer, which has what we call relational competencies. So in these profiles, you would find competencies. So these profiles are not competencies yet. You would find the competencies within these profiles. These profiles are in a way bigger containers of important competencies. We call it the NextSkills model. And if you go to the web, to nextskills.org, you would be able to navigate through it, click through it, and find the let's say the deeper competencies within there. I encourage you to have a look there. We published that in German and English, and again, you find all the materials on our website for free. Also, the books are usually open access books here. You can just download it and read through it, or skip through the chapters which you find interesting. Then in 2022, that is 2 years later actually, we were seeing that this concept of future skills was becoming more and more important. More and more frameworks were developed for future skills. Also in the industry, actually, industry close organizations for the chemical processing engineering and so on. Technicians, studies were done to find out what are the future skills. And so 2 years later, 2022, we were already seeing that there in the German-speaking countries, Austria, Switzerland, and Germany only, 13 different future skills studies were existing. And we tried to analyze them in a meta study in order to find out if our model and our thinking, our categories are still valid, or if we need to change them. And we found that they are still valid. We didn't need to change them. We could, in a way, cover and describe all the different skills of these 13 different future skills studies, which had emerged back then with our 17 future skill profiles. We found 225 future skills, but often the future skills are using the same term or different terms for the same things. So the study you can also download. It's a meta-analysis, just to get an overview, to get a grip on this issue of future skills and how different areas, different branches are actually talking about it. Right now, actually, 2025, today and in this year, we're going to develop an online database. And in this online database, which we probably publish before summer, you will be able to browse through these different future skill frameworks of today, actually. We have now, 3 years later, again, 10 new future skill frameworks. And our idea is actually that for the future, it is not so important to develop the one and only golden bullet framework which a company or which an educational institution can use, but to develop literacy, to develop qualifications around this issue of dealing with future skills as an educator. And that's why we work pretty much in this direction of providing transparency around the different approaches and how you can navigate them. That's our objective for this in the next year. So then in 2023, 2 years ago, we thought, okay, now we have this, this foundational model of future skills. Do we actually need domain-specific models? So models for technicians, or future skills models for the future teachers, or future skill models for the future trainers in vocational education and training, for the future nurses maybe, or maybe also future skills models for AI. We were discussing that and we were coming up with the decision to say, yes, we believe that future skill lists, future skill frameworks need to be context specific. And that's why we started to develop since then a series of future skills frameworks, which are domain specific frameworks. For example, this one, which is about AI and which I'm going to go into a bit more detail later on. But before I do that, I would like to encourage you to just take maybe 5 minutes and to look at our framework of future skills. I'm going to leave the slide open here to look at the framework of future skills and to choose one or two which is resonating with you. Just choose one or two to see this I think important, or this is one I don't understand at all. This is one where I would like to learn more about, which you find interesting, you know? And then to think about how would you rate yourself regarding this skill? Do you think you are already perfectly equipped with this skill, or do you still want to develop it? And then comes something very interesting. Take a piece of paper and just write in small bullet points something we call a small anchor story, a story in your life which you could tell somebody, which is illustrating why you think how you are doing on this skill. So find an anchor story which illustrates your judgment. So if you, for example, say, I'm a very good communicator, I am very, very good at communication skills. What would be the story which you can tell somebody to illustrate that this is true? So your success story with communication, for example. So this is the task. Take 5 minutes and maybe we can share one or two voices afterwards. And I'm going to show you the framework again, so you can choose one or two of the skills and just reflect a little bit. 5 minutes. All right. So now I would like to hear one or two reflections. Who would like to maybe tell a story about a future skill? What is resonating in you when you look at these skills?
If you want, I can start. So personally, I think that I like this model very much. Honestly speaking, also the visualization with the notes, it's quite inspiring. I think that this reflective competence that is in blue, but very crucial to take the red line and also to reach the green one is a key competence. I try to apply every day this competence. I think personally, I think it's crucial. Let's say to stop everything and to reorganize ideas, to think solutions or alternatives. When it comes to find to solve a problem or to find a fruitful solution for something, I think it's really a key competence also to be open-minded for the other ones.
Yeah, thanks. Super. I would like to take one more voice. Rosella, please go ahead. Open your mic.
You are muted, Rosella.
Yeah, sorry, as usual. I apologize.
No, we hear you super.
Ulf, you asked us to identify a competence, and speaking about me, I choose self-determination. I think that this skills truly aligns with me. And this competence has accompanied me during my professional life. I don't have a success story to share with you. But what I can say is that self-determination taught me to be humble and curious.
Super, thanks. Super.
And acquire the competence that you mentioned before, that is a growth mindset.
Yeah, super. Thank you very, very much. Excellent. I would like to continue. We are always short in time, as you know, as educators, we don't have enough time. I would like to continue with a tool, a recommendation, which I would like to give to you. Just the same question which we asked you now to reflect on these competencies, we also asked to our students. And we have developed a card game. Should show here somehow now. Where is it? Card game. It's not there. Why is it not there? Don't know. Well, there it is. We have developed a card game. Here is a German version. And the card game contains these future skills as a play card, like a card game. Yeah. Each future skill is one card. And you have the definition on one side and the name on the other side. And we give it to our students and to our learners. And we ask the learners and the students to come up with stories. And one mode in which we played is a super idea and concept. We ask students to think about what we call stories of transformation. So, story of transformation. Story of transformation is a story in which in your life you had a very, very strong moment. a very strong moment. Something went really well. You were really successful. You were really convincing. You had a very, very strong moment, a private moment or a professional moment, which was very meaningful for you, in your life in the last years or somewhere in your life, actually, maybe even as a child, a strong moment. And the moment should be so strong, so meaningful that you would even say, there is a before in my life and an after in my life. My life is divided before this moment happened and after this moment. So a very, very strong story. And then we ask them to sit together in groups and tell their story to the others. Groups of 3 or 4. You really have to try that with your learners. It's really super, because you can imagine this room of students sitting in front of you, and one, the other, and the next are telling their strong moment stories. And there's a beautiful energy in this room, because it's so meaningful, and the others are really listening attentively to these stories, And then the listeners have this card game in their hands, and we ask the listeners, while they are listening, to browse through these future skill cards and to find future skills which they can identify in this story they are listening to. So which were the skills which led to this accomplishment which I'm listening to? And then when the story is finished, we ask the people who were listening to hand over their selected skills to the person they were listening to the storyteller. These are very, very strong moments of positivity, moments where students are starting to understand, I'm already having future skills. I can look for them inside me. I can identify them. There are different ways, actually, which I can develop them. And the others are also learning that. And this is about reflection. And reflection is so important because reflection is actually the mode to develop future skills. We have another tool, not just this card game. And if you're interested, you can send an email to me. We can send you an English translated version of the card game. We even have it for download on our website, and you can print it out yourself. We also have, I think, a printer version which you can give to a professional printer so that they can, produce this as a card game. The other tool is an online tool which you can use. It has this address, compass.nextskills.org, and students can log into this online tool just for free. It's usable for free. They can log in. They don't have to give their name or their email address. They can just, use a number they have invented, a transaction number. They just invented themselves. They give it into that the field, and then they are logged in. And then in this online tool, you have several options. But one option is that students are presented with difficult situations, small difficult situations, very, very short ones, short situations. Just a second. What is the problem here? Short situations. Like these ones or others. There are many situations in there, and the tool is randomly choosing. And these situations, they relate to a future skill. You are studying at a dual university. According to the curriculum, you have to take one of 2 key qualifications. Your supervisor at the company you're working for wants you to attend key qualification 1 as a subject is important for the company. You are interested in key qualification 2 and feel more motivated to attend the seminar which you want. But then you would have to defy your supervisor. What do you do? And the question is always, please rate yourself. Can you handle this situation, or is it too difficult for you? And there are many, many of these situations, smaller ones, bigger ones, more difficult ones, less difficult ones, and so on. The students go through that, and then they receive a profile like this, actually. And just to tell you, I mean, it's not a psychologically validated test. It's really more a self-reflection about my future skills. And then again, the story is not finished. We ask students to get together in groups of 3 or 4 and show their profiles, put it on the table and say, this is my profile, which I have now after reflecting my future skills. And then they ask to find a person in this group which has quite contrary profiles. So one person might have rated themselves on communication skills quite low, the other one quite high. So get together and tell the other one your anchor story. Why do you believe that in communication or in ambiguity competence or in innovation competence, you are low rated? Why did you rate yourself low? What is your story, your anchor story? And listen to the anchor story of the other one. So these are small designed education sequences which we use to get students going on future skills, actually, just as an example. Of course, there are many, many others as well, but this is the way we actually do that with future skills. We are approaching the end of our session at 11:30 already, very, very quickly, just to walk you through some more tools. We also have developed an app, even in English, but together with a startup company. But it's only available for a few more weeks or months, I believe. And in the slide deck, which I'm going to share with you, you find these QR codes, and you can use them to be directly navigated to our card game, to our compass tool, and so on and so on. We have a portal, I told you already, where we have more than 50, a database of with more than 50 materials, small video films, studies, larger video films, longer video films, sequences which you can use in your own courses, classes, seminars, your own teaching, and so on. We have case studies also, for example, a case study how we integrate future skills in the frame of a study program through 6 semesters, how that works, and so on and so on. We have books which we share with you, open access. The newest book is this one, actually, The Creation of the Future, where we not try to look into the research of future skills frameworks, but try to look globally how future skills all around the globe are actually developing. And we found examples, 35 examples. There are more than 60 authors in this book, 35 examples from all around the globe, institutions of higher education, also some of higher vet, which are implementing future skills, their own future skills, not our future skills, their own future skills. And it is super interesting. It's also open access. It's in English. You can download it and read it through. We also just finished this month, actually, we finished a project which was about future skills for future trainers at the workplace. So pretty much also what I think can contribute to your context, And in this project, we developed future skills for future trainers at the workplace, how to deal with new technologies, how to deal with different work-based learning concepts of the future, and so on. And for this project, we also developed an online course with 6 modules, and you can access this online course for free. You have to register on the platform, and then you can access it for free, and you can take the courses and just let yourself be inspired, not expired, inspired. Now, for the last minutes, let's turn to AI, and it's actually just a short story. I told you that we had developed a research series. We studied what are important competencies for artificial intelligence for professionals of the future. So that was our assumption. We assumed that professionals of the future, they are actually needing competencies to deal with artificial intelligence, because all professions probably, and also all private lives, are majorly influenced through artificial intelligence. And that's why we developed a research stream all around that. It's called Future Skills for an AI-Shaped World. And you can find the reports for this competence model in English, 2 reports on our website, on our web portal for AI competencies. It's called AI Comp, just like Digicomp, it's called AI Comp. You can download it there. The first report is about the research methods and the research process. And the second report is about the competence model. And the competence model has 12 different competence fields. And of course, it has competence fields which deal with technology and with systems design, like the second one, for example, systems design competence. That's a competence field which contains competencies which enables professionals to use AI and to configure AI and to model with AI and to know about tools and competencies which enable professionals to integrate AI into their own competencies, into their own design of the work process, but also of their life. The first one is activity and implementation competence. So how to go about to find the first, to do the first step. What is the first step actually you can do in your company, in your organization, in order to start discussing about AI and so on. We also have number 4 here, critical digital competence. So it's about digital competence, again, about usage, about knowledge, about tools also, but also critical knowledge, so that you can understand what's underlying there, how to deal with biases also, and what happens actually when you are prompting an AI and so on. But then you also see that there are many dimensions which do not have to do with technology actually. For example, self-determination. That's a competence which is super important for professionals of the future in order to enable them to act independently with AI. So to understand where is AI taking over a decision when I use an AI tool actually. I want to understand and to know that maybe I'm confirming that decision. And I'm taking it on board for my own decision process. But I want to know actually, how is it actually coming about? I want to be independent as much as possible. Ethical competence, of course. Active control, using AI systems specifically for myself to have instrumental knowledge and skills in order to use an AI system so that it exactly caters to the needs I have, to the question I have. So active control competence, critical thinking, self-efficacy. So you see that this model is actually having these 2 dimensions, this critical and ethical dimension and the technology dimension embedded into one model. How can you use it now? You can go to the website and you can download this model, and we have provided it in different streams. One stream is the information stream, what we look at now actually. That's the model, and you find for each of these competence, you find a definition. You find also literature references where you can look around if you have time in other models, which are also talking about a similar competence. And you also find examples of knowledge, skills, and attitudes for each of these competencies, and you can just browse through it. We also provide a slide deck with learning objectives with 3 different levels, actually. So for each of these competencies, we provide 3 different levels of learning objectives so that you can just, take it and integrate it into your teaching. Yeah, with that, I'm coming to the end. It's almost the end of the session. I encourage you to go to our portals again and browse around, look through what you find relevant for your own context. And yeah, never forget that personal development, teaching development, new technology development is actually all you always have to do it yourself, just like surfing. Actually, you cannot learn it with a book, you have to do it, and that's what we would like to encourage you to do, to really take first steps to become practical, and to set out to develop your own portfolio around these issues, your own competence around this topic of future skills for your own teaching. Thank you very much. The material is all there. Just get starting. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ulf, for this empowering session. We will go through your materials and we will ask you for further information if needed. We will share with all participants, as usual, a follow-up email with all the relevant information in order to further exploit what we have shared today with you so far. Rosita has a question, probably. Rosita, please.
Yes, I just want to thank you for this interesting session, and I would like to ask you if all the materials you showed us and all the methods you show us concerning the meetings before among students or the use of those cards you showed us. I wanted to know if you use this kind of materials in which kind of session, at the beginning of the student path or just for your research, because as also I remember the session of Professor Gaia Del Negro. I think that these moments are very useful also for students, for motivate them and to start a training path with self-motivation and self-assessment. So I would like to ask you if you use this materials in the starting point of their training path, or just for your research analysis?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. We use the materials at the starting when students come and start the program in order to have them understand what are future skills so that they can become autonomous learners around this issue. And then we also share it with the practice organizations with which we work so that they can also understand what are students developing in the practice study phases in the companies. They also develop future skills there, and some companies start now to use future skills cards in order to work with their students which are there. And then also throughout the study, actually, in various different settings. Right now, also, we develop an online tool which we want to use to go more into the direction of assessment of future skills, which is not so easy. Currently, we use portfolio-based assessment, so students are asked to collect artifacts from their studies or from their practical work, report on meaningful experiences, and then reflect on these experiences to find out which kind of future skills did they develop during these experiences. And then to also give them badges. Badges, these are the small digital certificates. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also released the micro-credentials for learning at the end of these training sessions. So we are in line also for my macro certificates, let's say. So thank you very much once again for this speech.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
We will stay in contact for other opportunities, and I would like to remember to all participants that I will share we will share materials, deepening information, and also, let's say, the evaluation form of the session. It's quite important also to collect your feedback, so please vote and rate. We can stop here for now, so we wish you all a very nice and relaxing Easter. And thank you very much again for your participation, and Ulf for your availability in being with us today. Thank you once again. See you on the 15th of May with the last session of our training program focused on learning analytics to improve VET system and VET system training offers. So we will send you all the recap via email. Thank you and bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye and thank you.
Bye.